So welcome everyone. If you can let me know, we've got some great people coming in. I'm so excited. I'm pulling all my energy forth, considering that I flew in from Bali at 3:30 this morning. So we've got lots of people joining. That's fabulous. Well, I'm just going to start in a moment, just welcoming everyone through. I know that it's probably different times for everyone at the moment. I think I'm still running on Bali time. For those that may have been following me on socials, I was in Bali a week ago, and then there was volcanic ash happening, and we sat on a plane for about 3 hours before they finally started to let us fly tell us to get off the plane. And we ended up in Bali for another week. So it was crazy, not bad place to be stranded though for a week. So we were there for an extra week, met up with some extraordinary authors. And so really it's now about me bringing you all of that energy from Bali, I spent some time with Dr. John Gray, which we're going to talk a little bit about him and his journey to success, and met up with, some extraordinary people, authors from all around the world. So thanks everyone for attending. We've got lots coming in, and so I don't want to hold this up too much for those that have turned up on time. So I'm going to kind of get stuck into this, and in the next, say, 40 minutes, however long it takes for us to impart as much knowledge to you today on really helping you navigate this author journey and learn as much as you can. So I am joined by my amazing chief editor, Natalie. Welcome, Natalie.
Thanks, Suze. Hi, everybody. It's lovely to be here.
So Natalie will be jumping in and sharing some of her knowledge as we cover off some main points with everyone. So I'll get started, and I'm going to share some screen with you because if you're anything like me, you can still see our faces here, but I like people to be able to visually see some of what we're saying so that you can take lots of notes, and you can take some screenshots if you want, but we will have this recording available so that you can listen to this again. So thanks everyone for joining again, and let's get started. So now we're going to be talking about blank pages to a published book and beyond, which is really important. So I'm really excited to be spending this time with you and to have, like I said, our amazing chief editor, Natalie Dean, who is a Dean with an E on the end and is not. A lot of people think we're related, but we are related in our own choice of family. So Natalie will be eager to share her expertise with you as well. Now, just to make sure you're in the right place, this masterclass is more all about non-fiction, books that share real storage and real knowledge, meant to make an impact. Maybe you're already a coach, a speaker, a trainer, or an expert, or perhaps you have a story with a life lesson that you want to share to help others. You might be in a job that just doesn't inspire you, and you're looking to start your own business and using a book to showcase your expertise or build your credibility. If any of this resonates with you, then you're absolutely in the right place. We're here to help you turn your experience, your knowledge into a book that not only shares your message, but it makes a difference to not only the readers' lives, but to your own as well. So if that's you, yes, you're in the right place. So in the next, say, 40 to 60 minutes, we're going to show you how to transform your years of experience into a structured, engaging book. We're going to talk about the side steps of the common pitfalls that trip up those first-time authors, and, how to use your book, most importantly, as a magnet for high quality clients, speaking gigs, or like I said, to really get that message out there. This isn't about adding more tasks to your already busy schedule. It's about leveraging what you already know and creating a powerful business asset that kind of works for you 24/7. So again, we're going to be covering this information. So I really look forward to sharing some of this with you. So the problem that we fall into the trap of is that most authors get into the trap of procrastination. And the problem is entrepreneurs or people that have got some great ideas that sometimes we have too many ideas and we don't know what to do. We don't know what to put into the book, because we get to the point where we go, well, we talk about this or this, and there's too many things. Or sometimes people end up feeling that they don't know what to write about, even though they know that they've got so much knowledge. You could be overthinking it. You could end up with writer's block or overwhelm, confusion. Some people fall into that imposter syndrome. Do I know enough? I don't have time. Where do I start? So a lot of these things can really stop people from actually getting their message out there. Some of our authors took 7 years to finally publish their book, even longer. They fell into that imposter syndrome, or they got to the point where they just backed off and they ghosted us. They got too scared to be vulnerable. And another author completely changed their book 3 times while writing it, because they're just like trying to figure this out on their own, or they got nervous about being so raw and sharing their story. But after talking with us, they felt just so much more comfortable. But all of these authors have felt what you may be feeling right now. But one difference is that they did it anyway, that they got out there and they published a book. Now, I'm passionate about helping others share their stories and their expertise, because I know the power of story, and so does my amazing team. I began my journey as a youth worker, working for the Department of Human Services back in about the 90s. And in the early, probably 2000s, which is quite early in this industry, I became a coach. Back then, no one really knew what coaching was. So the challenge for me wasn't just getting clients, but educating people on what coaching even meant. I often had people say to me, so are you a swim coach or a sports coach? And I'd say, no, definitely not. Have you seen me in Lycra? No, definitely not a swim or sports coach. But I had to educate them on what coaching was. Now, fast forward to today, coaching's in demand. But now the challenge is standing out. That's where the power of a well-written and published book can really help people to connect with you, as the writer of this book, pouring your heart and soul into the book. So they get to connect with you through your story and your knowledge. You get to communicate, what it is that you're about, and ultimately convert and draw in your ideal clients. So the reader is like, well, I need to know more. So it's really about that connection, the communication, and ultimately converting them as a client. So this is me with Dr. John Gray. Many of you may know him from the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And yes, you can see my baby face and John's baby face there. That was over 20 years ago. Now, what some of you may not know is John actually self-published his first book. And I just come back from Bali and was interviewing him around his success, because Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus is the #1 relationship book that was published in the world still today. So John started with a book, What You Feel You Can Heal. He had self-published that, and he went on to write Men, Women, and Relationships. Now, with these self-published books, he learned a lot about what went well and what didn't go well before he was picked up by one of the big 4 publishers and then published Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. As I said, is still the best relationship book published of all time. It was translated into, I think, 52 different languages. It outsold back then every other book in the world excepting the Bible. So it was a phenomenal success. But what was so interesting was to find out that he had self-published the first couple of books. And we spoke about what he did, and I'm going to be sharing some of that with you today. But with the passion to help others gain success from being a published author is what I love to do every day now. I get to do really both my loves. I get to do coaching and helping people around using the book to grow their business. And I also then get to help people share their message out into the world. But like John, there's a lot of knowledge that you need to know to get that success. So as I said, you're in the right place if you want some expert knowledge from publishers who have done this many times, and you don't really want to try and figure this out all yourself. You want to fast track your book writing journey so that you can hold your own finished book in your hand and you can get it out to your clients' hands, making a lasting impact and honestly leaving that legacy in the world. And you want to save some time and you want to do it right the first time. And you're ready to get your book done and give it the focus that it needs. So if that's you, again, you're in the right place. So the promise I have for you is I'm going to share with you the different types of publishing, from doing it yourself to supported traditional publishing, and all the marketing avenues and options to consider, so you know what's the best path for you. And so that you can make an informed decision on, what's right for you, because just because there is a traditional way that everyone thinks might be the right way for them, it may not necessarily be the right way for you. So each author is very different. So I just want you to be educated so that you can make an informed decision. So we're going to be covering the invisible monsters of procrastination and perfectionism and limiting beliefs. We're going to cover the lack of the publishing industry and knowledge, and book marketing and monetization. So I promised you at the end we'll give you access to a whole lot of additional information that we don't have time to cover today, to ensure that you are confident that you too can be holding a book in your hand and sharing it with the world. And if you stay to the end, you can jump on a call with me. I think there might only be maybe 1 or 2 spots available today, but tomorrow and the next day, and we will open this up for the next week, where people can jump on a personal private call with me to chat about your book after this webinar, and like I said, over the next few days. So the invisible monsters. Working with authors every day for more than a decade has revealed some real common obstacles. We can't go into them all today, so I've cherry-picked the most common ones. And these ones are basically called the invisible monsters. You can't see them, but they're lurking around in the basement of your mind and keeping you from your dreams. As I said, they're procrastination, perfectionism, limiting beliefs. As an author, I can guarantee you that you'll fight with one of these monsters at one time or another. And procrastination is the act of delaying or putting off tasks. Research shows that it's not just a time management problem, it's a failure in self-regulation. So passive procrastinators delay the task because they've got trouble making decisions and acting on them, whereas active procrastinators delay the tasks purposely because working under pressure allows them to feel challenged and motivated. And I know I'm kind of a little bit of that active procrastinator myself. Either way, procrastination is designed to prevent you from achieving your best. And then, of course, there's perfectionism. People with perfectionism hold themselves to impossible high standards, and they think that what they do is never good enough, or they get paralyzed by this perfection. Maybe I could do it a little bit more, or what if I wait a bit longer and then I might know some more? And those limiting beliefs, I'm not good enough, I'm not a writer, who am I to write a book? Who's going to read this book? But what does this actually cost you? Like these feelings with cause this frustration, because you know in your heart that this book can make a difference. You know that you've got knowledge to share, but you yourself can be the one stopping yourself moving forward. And we always hear from authors that say they get emails or letters from people saying, your book changed my life. And some even get, your book saved my life. And that's pretty profound. Whereas for me, for someone to leave this world with all their knowledge inside them is where I find the sadness and the frustration, because I know that each and every one of you have got something to share. And it's really about letting go of those demons and really just getting stuck into why you're doing this. Why is this so important to get this message out there, and letting these go? And so it's really about just trusting in yourself, and just sometimes surrounding yourself with people that have got your back, that are ready to help you share this message. And for me, I was frustrated because I wanted a method to be able to help authors to be empowered and educated around all the steps of the process, from proceeding to publishing to really promoting the book. So whether it was to grow their business, to make a change in the world by them sharing their story and knowledge, but really I just wanted authors to have that power to decide whether they want to submit their book to one of the big fives, or do they want to see the benefits of publishing it themselves. But there was just so much time needed with each author. So I've really kind of pulled my knowledge together as a coach, a speaker, and a trainer to really, and all my kids' knowledge to really help you with this so that you don't get stuck with these demons. Here's one of our authors that kind of got stuck in that. Let me share a little bit with you.
Writing a book has been on my bucket list for a long time. I'm embarrassed to say that because I'm an action man, but I procrastinated, perfectionism, all that sort of thing. For the first few years of me being the bucket list guy, I've been running around the world spreading the message via the stage. I've had so many people go, where's your book? I want to buy your book. Now, finally, I've put a compilation of my own stories into this book. And it's taken me 10 years to get it.
And the reason that Trav got it to print is because he come to us and we just said, this book is fine, let's do this, let's do that, let's get it out there. And now he just shares with me how much missed opportunities he's had, because he said, oh my God, I've sold so many books at the back of the room now. I've had emails come in, how it's just absolutely changed their life. He said, why didn't I come to you sooner? So these are the type of authors that we really want to help get their message out there, because they just get stuck in all of that stuff that really doesn't help them get it out there. So for Trav, he said, how much money I've lost, how much opportunities I've lost. So yeah, don't be a Trav. Now, we'll just move that across. So these are some really interesting statistics. Out of 81% of people that said, I want to write a book, 15% started writing. These are some stats that we pulled from research that's been done, and 15% start writing, 6% get about halfway, and 3% actually get to be published. So the reasons are many. There's some of those, and we'll cover some of the other reasons so that you can be one of those 3% that really get out there and get your book published. So this is what people think's involved in writing a book. We just do the writing, and we do a cover design and some typesetting and printing and selling. That's all that really is started when people are ready to write a book and they think, oh, that's all I need and we're done. This is what's actually involved. It's just a snapshot of something that there's more that we could add to it, but I ran out of slide space, right? But the top 5 common pitfalls we see in the industry is poor book structure, amateur cover design, no cut-through title or subtitle for commercial viability, plagiarism, even if unintentional. We've had many authors come to us with some manuscripts, and what's happened is we said, you can't use that. That's owned by Hay House. You can't use that. The author's got the copyright. So sometimes you might unintentionally plagiarize. But the problem is that you could have a book out there that you need to pull off the shelves because it's now become a legal issue because you've got something in there unintentional that shouldn't be in there. So it's really, some of these things are just not known. And lack of marketing. You've got a great book. People need to know about it. And some of the problems that we find as well, most people don't know the rules of commercial book publishing and the fact around copyright, plagiarism, defamation, distribution. There's specific editing standards that apply to commercial books and editorial style guides and things like that. So Natalie's going to cover some of this very shortly, but even in today's digital world, there's more common things to consider in regards to SEO and keyword searches and titles and blurbs. So nowadays, sure, everyone can publish a book on Amazon, but can they polish it with traction? Can they publish a professional book and elevate their brand and get their books maybe into bookstore distribution to get it out to the masses? But we're going to cover off on some of that as well with Natalie. But there's a lot to publishing a book, and hence why people might get to halfway or even get to near the end of an end manuscript and they just don't ever publish it. And that's such a shame because they've done all that work and now it's not out into the world. So these are just a few things that break it down. You need a structural editor, copy edit, proofreading. For the graphics, you need formatting, layout, cover design, and print files. And there's different print files depending on whether you want to do offset or print on demand and so forth. So it's really about making sure that these are all taken care of. But then, like I said, there's all of so much more to this. These are just some things that you may need some experts to help you with, but then there's so much other stuff that you could learn to do yourself. This is one of our authors that's sold, I think, over, gosh, she's in the probably 10, 20,000, I can't even think now, a huge amount of books that she sold. And this was, Erica said to us when she finally, before she'd sort of got her book published and worked with us.
That we need to know is what we can do and what we can't do. You know, what we're really good at and what we may not be great at. For me, the editing. For me, understanding all of my thoughts and getting them together into one thing. For me, the promotion and then making it into an EPUB. I didn't even know what that was. And just understanding the different platforms and how this book can become a success, because it's not just your book, it's your story, it's your business, it's something that's so much bigger. One of the biggest things that really got me to working with Deep Publishing was the plagiarism. I did my best to make sure that I quoted the right people and that I added people that I admire and looked up to in my book. But one of the scary things when you're writing is you don't know if you own that quote or who's it.
So yes, as Erica said, there's so much more than just the writing aspect. There's a whole author journey that goes even beyond the writing of the book. There's the production and the publishing of the book, but even more important, there's then the promoting and the prospering from a book. It's really about a whole author journey map. And we're going to give you access to that and go through that very shortly, where each and every one of you can have the opportunity, if you stay to the end, for me to help map out some of this journey for you. So that's pretty exciting. Now we're going to go on to the lack of publishing industry knowledge, the difference between the self-publishing, traditional publishing, supported publishing. And I'm going to hand this over to Nat so that she can share some of her knowledge with you, being the expert in this area. So welcome, Nat.
Thanks, Suze. And I think this is something that is very typical, and I don't think anyone should feel bad about the lack of knowledge that they would have in an industry that's perhaps not theirs. And that's why this is an industry that I've been in for a long time, and I could imagine how nerve-wracking and quite confronting it is to be thrust into an industry with so many variables, and all you want to do is put your book out into the world and have people read it. And there's so many processes and rules and regulations that a lot of people aren't aware of. And I hope that we can at least shed a little bit of light on some of that today. Of course, we can't do all of it because there's multiple steps Susan showed us earlier, but I think we can really try and give you the best overall and overarching advice that we can in an industry that you may obviously not be fully across yet. And this is really, the intention here is to help you avoid costly mistakes. And they're very easy to do. And we've met many authors that have unfortunately paid the price, especially the financial price. You may go out, as an example, and have an idea of your cover and pay top dollar and then not like it, and then think, now what? And then you go and get another one and I still don't like it. And we've seen people have these snowball effects where not publishing right or not having professional advice is probably more the point here. It can really snowball and get out of hand. And quite often it's not your fault because you don't know what you don't know. And these costly mistakes happen. It's the same as me if I wanted to get a plumber. Well, I know that I don't know that, so I would go and seek a professional. And I think that's the way I see it now, that having that professional advice or somebody that can advise you in a way that's appropriate for you, because there are different ways to get your book out into the world, and what works for one may not work for the other. What somebody may want in terms of, I want my book to go out to the world and global, and other people like, I just want to put this in my industry. So I think it's really important that you understand there's many ways to do it, and your way may not be the same as somebody that you've seen on social media. And there are different ways to do it. So what is it really costing you? And I always say that it's sometimes better not to publish than be published poorly, because it is your reputation. And especially if you're a business owner, you have your own brand, you've got a reputation there, and you want to keep it at the standard that's appropriate and right for you. And that's usually a high standard. But what's it really costing you? You know, to not put your book out, a lot of the time it prevents you from your full potential. And it can keep you caught in this vicious cycle of frustration where you want to do it, but then you can come up against some of these obstacles that we're talking about today and lose momentum, lose inspiration, feel a little bit caught, and that cycle of frustration can just keep perpetuating. It obviously delays your dreams and can waste your time. We've seen this often. This is a very common thing because you want to do what you want to do. You want to live your dreams. You want to share your message. And sometimes navigating the industry can be the thing that you have to think about and work out whether this avenue or that avenue is right for you. So it can obviously waste your time, which will increase missed opportunities, reduce your impact and authority, but it also eliminates your ability to generate more passive income and influence, of course. So having your product out there can be multi-purposed. People can essentially carry you and your wisdom around. And I always say to people, a lot of the authors that we work with, we're like, it is your book, but it's you being able to, we can duplicate you and your message without you having to be there. And I think that's a really important aspect as well. But, you know, a lot of the time it's not just costing you financially to go about this and have those costly mistakes, but really costing you living your dreams. And I think that's probably worse in many ways. So as Susan mentioned before, there are different ways to do it. And what works for one may not work for the other. Traditional publishing, a lot of people are aware of the big five. And for some people, this is a really good avenue. If you're a professional writer, for example, I think it's an amazing avenue to explore. But it does come, so any avenue comes with pros and cons. So I'm just going to discuss them for a little bit. The pro, of course, is they're a traditional publisher. They have book distribution. and they've been around for a long time, tried and tested. I guess the con would be that the of entry is really hard for an emerging author. Quite often you do need to be a well-known author, or you do need to have something very original that has commercial cut through. For others, it could be the amount of influence on their social media. So traditional publishing definitely works, and it works for, especially for professional writers or people with an incredible message and influence. At the same time, you don't always get full creative control. You are essentially being traditional published, and so you may not get the cover you want. You may have to compromise some of your creative control there, but it is definitely an amazing way to publish for the right person, especially if you're a professional writer. So that is one avenue. And the next one that we can probably go to, Suze, as a contrast, is self-publishing. A lot of you guys already know a lot about self-publishing. This is where you've pretty much do it all yourself, from finding your graphics person to finding the right editor to getting an ISBN to writing every word, and even down to getting it printed, marketing, the list goes on. And of course, between traditional publishing and self-publishing, they're very different streams. They both can put your book out, and depending on what you want, it depends on how you go. So this is definitely a viable option for those that have a little bit of publishing knowledge and can navigate it, have a lot of time, and are willing to do a lot of the background research on who to use and who not to use. The con of this is I have seen, and I don't even like to say it, but it's true, I have seen so many poorly published books with beautiful intentions, beautiful people with a great message that unfortunately never see the success that they want because, unbeknownst to them, perhaps the cover didn't strike something commercially viable for people to take hold of, or the lack of marketing, or perhaps when you open it and the formatting is not up to standard. It's quite a difficult thing to do on your own without someone guiding you that has that publishing knowledge. So they are both incredible avenues depending on what you want. Now you can self-publish, you can put it up on Amazon and definitely get eyes on your book, but it is quite a saturated market. So those are very two big different extremes. Both of them do have distribution, and that's a major part of getting eyes on your books. And traditional distribution is very much the bookstore, and now we've seen it's increasing to online and audiobooks and more multi-purpose media. However, as a self-publisher, you can also put it up on print-on-demand platforms like Amazon, and you will see there's a lot of online retailers that will take it. What I think people probably don't understand, and it's quite a complicated part of the area, is that distribution is really a major key. And it's not just, yes, you can put it up on Amazon, but there's a lot of things behind Amazon that can really make the difference in getting traction and getting a lot of people to visibility on your book. And that is the metadata that's used. And we look at this a lot. It's the thing behind the scenes that you don't always get to see, but it's nailing the right categories. There is like many different categories. There's a different category for a bookstore, there's a different category for Amazon. And how could you navigate that without understanding what we get to see behind the back end? The cover image, the back blurb, the keywords you would use for visibility, what keywords belong in your category, what keywords are best for your genre, are best for your business, the title and subtitle. Obviously, your author name will get traction with your website, but even positioning your book with the right recommended retail for your industry, these are all factors now that behind the scenes have become imperative to publishing well. It is a digital world. We still have traditional bookstores and we still love those bookstores. I know I do. But the amount of buyers now that will want to download something instantly on a Kindle or perhaps listen to an audio book, these now are getting greater and greater traction in the market. So we don't now just think of a book as this 9x6 rectangle piece. We think of it as downloads. We think of it as what keywords can we use? How can we make sure that we are funneling all the metadata to your website or to your sales page or to your Amazon page or wherever you're wanting to sell your book? So these are the things that, nowadays in publishing, I think they are vital and they can't be overlooked. And that brings us to the importance of supported publishing. We really sit in that area where you get the strength of professionals that have been in traditional publishing, understand the industry, but also you get the benefits of having creative control, of understanding why we would choose that title or subtitle, or recommend it at least, or encourage you to use these key words. So supported publishing really is where I think the world is going a lot more now, where you want the benefits of traditional, you want the bookstores, you want the standard, you want to know that this is a professional standard that's used globally, but you also want to be able to have full creative control to say what's important to you, to make sure that cover and those words and that back blurb really resonate so strongly with your brand. So it's authentic to you and you haven't have to compromise yourself. And I think that's where the benefit, in my opinion at least, is where supported publishing is this incredible hybrid situation where you can live your dreams and have the benefits of people that have been in the industry for a long time support you in those dreams. So
yeah, absolutely, Nat. And I think that for me, when I was frustrated because people were, as we know, we would get books land and people had put their heart and souls into these books. And then we would just say, oh, if they just knew this or they just knew that, these few small tweaks, or they would be able to get it into more people's hands, or if they just knew that they've done a really not a great job. And yet without their knowledge, they thought the editor knew what they were doing. They thought the designer knew what they were doing. But there's a real big difference between a graphic designer and a book cover designer or formatter. They're skills that I've been blessed to attract people like yourself, Nat, that love helping people bring their books up to the most amazing standards. And designers and the team that we've pulled together, because we saw so many people spending way more than what they would have spent with us, and they're still not happy, or it's been really substandard work. So this frustration then led to me building this team with Natalie and all the designers. And Natalie's been in this industry for decades, where she's seen what's been done well and what hasn't been done well, what's going to be commercially viable, what is it, the traditional publishing or maybe the self-supported publishing that can help you get even better results than what you might get in traditional. And so that's why it's so important for you to have a team of people with the knowledge to be able to bounce these ideas off, to say, well, what do you think? This is what my book's about. Which way would be best for me? Or can I use this quote? Can I not use this quote? The whole reason that, I do what I do, Nat does what she does, and my amazing team do what they do is because we want the authors to be able to get the best book possible to be able to put out there into the world. And we're blessed to have Natalie a part of our team because she brings with her that wealth of knowledge to give people a chance. And it just breaks our heart when we see people that have spent 20, 30,000 and more on a book, and it's still, we can see some things that should have been picked up by the editor or should have been picked up by the designer, or maybe the designer didn't really know what the book was about, and so they haven't landed the cover or the back blurb properly to bring it all together, to bring it all home. So, what Natalie is sharing about these different points, the supported self-publishing was a way for us to help people get the support they need, but still own all the rights and still have all the choices of, you know, what they wanted to do with the book. So thanks so much, Nat, for sharing that and for highlighting some of these things that I know we've got a short time with people, but, you know, I just wanted people to get to meet Natalie as well and get to know that and hear as she had the same frustration as me and wants just you as the author to get the best deal that you can get so that your book represents you well. So thanks again, Nat.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, as Nat said, there's so much to cover that we can't go through every detail, and I know that we're tracking on right now, and I wanted to cover book marketing and monetization, how to think like an authorpreneur, because it's great you've got the book and you've got it finished, but now how do you really get that book to connect with the reader and get to where you want it to be? So there's 55 different ways. There's so many more, but we've put down here where you can do things like sell your book from the back of the stage, turn your book into multiple avenues to get your social media followings going. We've had huge success with a lot of our authors in their books just being able to exponentially grow their followings. Create a mastermind group, some coaching groups out of that. There's doing a book launch and bringing people together. There's so many different things you can do with a book, and we can send this off to you as well so that you can have a look through some of those. But if you just think like an authorpreneur and you sold, say, 250 books at $24.95 at the back of the room, you could be making 6,250. If you sold ebooks at $9.99, and you could be making about $500. Now, depending on where they're distributed, obviously they'll take their portions, but this is if you were physically doing it yourself. You sold the audio book, creating it into an audio book, and you upsold additional products. You might even just have a $30 product you want to sell. You sell it to another 100 people. There's another $3,000. There's just some small things there that you can make $10,000 just on an event and things like that. Even thinking, which some of our authors have done, they've given away 150 of their books to the right audience at an event, and they've created conversions into clients paying them thousands of dollars a month, emailing them out at each chapter to your database group and then giving them a link to buy the full book, but you're re-engaging with the audience. Giving a talk and even emailing out the book can be nothing in cost, but can draw people in. And if it's a quality book, they're going to see. And this is why it's so important. If the book is quality, they're going to say, oh, well, your coaching or your services are quality as well, or your mastermind group, whatever it is that you're wanting to leverage off the book as well. Getting on a podcast is ideal. I remember John Gray and many other authors saying they had to get on radio. Now you can get on a podcast of your ideal audience. And podcasters love a new book that's come out that they can talk about and promote for you. And everyone can afford a book. So that's the great thing is too. And then you get larger numbers purchasing your book. Getting some free PR and media is huge from becoming an author as well. But these leads converted into clients. If you were selling a $2,000 program and you got 20 people in, there's $40,000. Paid speaking gigs of $3,000, $5,000 and above. Some of our authors are getting paid $50,000 and above for some keynotes. It's crazy in the speaking world how every speaker really has to have a book. We've got Michael McQueen here. He published his 10th book with us after working with many global publishers. He's now in airports and bookstores. Anthea grew her Instagram following from 4,000 to 167,000 followers and growing. It's crazy. And Erica got picked up by Penguin for her second book and become more widely known and has sold phenomenal amounts of books herself. Here's some other results. We had Paul, who got impacts from so many more people's lives by launching his book at his annual conference. And he talks all about Better Business, Better Life, Better World, and many other books he's done with us. Travis got to speak around the world, increasing his speaking gigs. Jim Cox is another author who said to us it opened up unexpected opportunities, like features that he got to write in Forbes and for MyOp, and it brought in readers eager to work with him directly. And he said it's hard to quantify, and this was going back when he just launched it, but he estimated he generated over 90K in revenue, and I'm sure that it's more now. Rebecca got her book promoted by Grant Cardone, and there's been other authors that have just done so much with their book. So we've got to think of a book as so much more than just a book. We've got authors that have turned their book into workbooks and done mastermind groups and created some great wealth. We've got Naomi, who created a cookbook, and now she's got her own online cooking shows. And then, of course, we've got some great people that are getting rewarded with awards and revamped her old book into a new book, and it's having phenomenal success. So a book isn't just a book, it really is a media marketing machine for you. So what you may have learned in the last hour or so is the invisible monsters. Don't let procrastination and perfectionism and limiting beliefs stop you. The lack of the publishing industry knowledge. Get the support that you need to make sure the book is of quality that you want it to be. And then the marketing and the monetization challenges. There's a whole avenue around how to get that PR and marketing in. And I get it. Everyone feels this procrastination. And the difference is some jump in and others just hold back and don't get it done. And the lack of publishing knowledge, like I said, self-publishing, traditional publishing, supported publishing, you can do a mix. And the marketing, think like an entrepreneur. What clients and speaking engagements and sales are you missing out on by not having that book? So where are you right now? You can drop in the chat. Are you a 1? You thought about writing a book, and I'll connect with you another time, sometime in the future. Thanks, Susan and Nat. I've learned a lot, and I'm going to figure it out on my own. I'm going to be prepared to do this on my own. Or 3, I'm booking in that clarity call. I'm excited to hear more about working with Dean Publishing. What does that look like for you? I want to get my book published professionally and faster. And I don't have the time to figure everything out on my own, but I've got some time to do some of the things that I can do to save some costs and maybe get you to help me along that way, supporting me so that I know that I'm doing it right. Or maybe you just say, I want to hand it all over to you to do. So if you're a 3, you're ready to go, let me know. Put it in the chat or the questions. And doing your book yourself, going it solo on a book project can indeed be costly in both time and resources. If you're not familiar with the publishing process, mistakes in editing, design, formatting that Natalie talked about, even marketing can add up quickly, not to mention certain steps like book cover design or professional editing, areas that in the do-it-yourself approach might compromise the quality. But working with experienced professionals or joining our author community can make the process more streamlined, saving costs and help you to avoid those common pitfalls. So skipping the planning stage, not having your structure right, being unclear on your messaging without an outline or target audience, poor editing or lack of editing. Self-editing often misses errors, leading to reduced quality and credibility. A weak book cover. Do-it-yourself or amateurs on Fiverr covers can make a great book look unprofessional. Investing in the design is really essential. And overlooking formatting requirements. Incorrect formatting can lead to printing issues or awkward ebook layouts where they just don't land. We're all using phones now. We need to ensure that all the layout is correct. And then neglecting professional marketing and promotion, relying on word of mouth without a launch plan can also limit book sales. Incorrect pricing, setting your pricing, is it too high, is it too low, can deter a potential reader, and research is key. And ignoring audience feedback or beta readers. Missing early feedback can lead to a plot pacing or a clarity issue. I know with John Gray, when he did his second book, he got a lot of information that was really important for him as well. Overlooking copyright, ISBNs, or the rights can all result in these unexpected costs or loss of control. And neglecting the metadata, like Natalie explained, improper keyword searches, categories, or descriptions, limiting the discoverability of your book in the searches. And burnout from doing it all yourself. Handling everything alone can lead to burnout and compromise both the quality and really the enjoyment. So you could be 1, doing nothing. You could be 2, doing it yourself, or you could join what we've got is the stress-free book system, where you get to join a community where you can jump in, saves a lot of costs, and allow you to do what you could do on your own with the right information, with the right tools, the techniques, the downloads, the tips and the tricks that allow you to do it, but with industry knowledge. Or 3, book with a publisher. We're Dean Publishing and we're here to be able to help you with payment options available. So there are a few ways to work with us. So let's connect on a private call to chat about your book and your budgets. That's really important. I want to leave this with you today. What if you had a chat with a publisher like myself about your book and you walked away with the next steps from an expert? Well, all you have to do is book a call. And that is, we've got deanpublishing.com exclusive call. This is just for people that have been on this webinar, that have registered to find out more. And that's where I can talk with you about your specific book. The QR code is there to scan to book in. If you can't get in today, that's okay. There's a lot going on, and I did just fly in at 3:30 this morning from Bali. So I've got some availability today, but if not, I've got tomorrow, the next day. Find a slot. If you can't find one, just reach out to support@deanpublishing.com. But otherwise, go in deanpublishing.com, exclusive call. Book in with me. I will talk with you personally on what the next steps are so that you can get your book out to the world, because that is what is so important. Do not leave this world with a book inside you. Don't leave this world with your knowledge inside you. You don't know what your book can do for you, for the reader, and for the universe at its, whole, by you leaving your knowledge and expertise in the world. So I really look forward to speaking with you one-on-one. I think I've got right on time, which is amazing. Thank you for those sharing with me and really helping bring my passion, and I know Natalie's passion, to life by us being able to support you to get your book out into the world. So thank you so much, Nat. Thanks so much, everyone. It's in the chat. Book a one-on-one call with me, deanpublishing.com/exclusive call, but I've put it in the chat as well. I look forward to catching up one-on-one with each and every one of you. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.